Hello class, we meet again in the second meeting of our class Cross-Cultural Understanding. In this meeting we are going to learn about general description in the cross-cultural understanding. We are going to learn about some technical terms that we use in this class in the cross-cultural understanding. So we are going to start our lesson with the general description. So here it is. So this is the key sociolinguistic concept of cross-cultural understanding. Cross-cultural understanding itself is concerned with understanding people from different cultural backgrounds or culture of the people so we can construct our attitudes and worldview more tolerable and generous towards strange ways that may be shown by other citizens of another country. Culture is that complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, law, custom, and any other capacities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. And this is the iceberg analogy of culture. So what we see in the surface is the behavior itself. But what makes the behavior to be that way? There are like big iceberg under the behavior, under the surface that we see. So the set of the values that is hidden from the view are beliefs, values, and thought patterns. So we don't know what they believe in. We don't know the values that is in their society or maybe in their family, and we don't know the thought patterns of them that makes people, that become the motive of a people to do the behavior they do. So cultural norms are rules of standard behavior accepted by members of the society. Kunchorningrat in 1990s categorized cultural universal into 7, namely language, knowledge system, social organization, lifestyle system, livelihood system, religion system, and art. You can try to find each of these elements, the example of each of these elements in the book that I have already taught you to read in the first meeting. So language itself is purely human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotion, and desire by means of voluntarily produced symbols. And these are three major functions of language. The first one, language is the primary vehicle of communication. And the second, language reflects both the personality of the individual and the culture of his history. In turn, it can also help to shape both personality and culture. So remember, language can help to make a personality of the person and a culture. One of the scientists said that if you speak a language, unconsciously you are changing your personality. You are changing the way you speak. You are changing your so it is very different when I'm speaking in Bahasa or when I'm speaking in Spanish with when I'm speaking in English. So you can find there is a different tone, different variety of language that I use in the 3 languages that I have mentioned before. And it also maybe happen to you too. Maybe you have native language, and when you're trying to speak in Bahasa or in English, somehow you feel that your personality is completely changed. Not like completely 100% changed, but you can find a little bit difference in your personality when you change the language. See? And then the third one, language makes possible the growth and transmission of culture. Sorry. The continuity of societies and the effective functioning and control of social group. So, when you use language, you make the cultures grow. For example, I can use English. So when I'm speaking in an English country, I can introduce my culture to those society. For example, we go, okay, the very near area from Batam, which I currently am, is the Singapore. So if I go to Singapore and I speak English with them, I can introduce my culture, the culture from Batam, or maybe my native culture, the Javanese culture. I can tell them what I like, the kind of food that I like. I can tell them that we have beautiful batik. I can tell them that we have great scenery, great tons that maybe they never see before, something like that. So with language, I'm telling them through the language itself, I can tell them the uniqueness of my culture. That is what it means by making it possible, the growth and transmission of the culture. So what is the relationship between culture and language? Language is a key component of culture. It is the primary medium for transmitting much of culture, and without language, culture would not be possible. Even before before the language transformed into a complex system like now, people communicate with each other through a simple language. But that's still a language. That's still what makes a culture is. Okay, so when we do the language, when we communicate with other people will understand our ideas. Maybe from one person they have one idea, he or she say it to the second person. That two people, the first and second, will make a culture, will make a simple culture. For example, they try to dance, and then both of them speaking to the third, fourth people, fifth people, and all of them, they can communicate to each other. They can dance together. See, so there is also another part of culture, right? Dance, the arts. And then second point, children learning their native language are learning their own culture. Learning a second language also involves learning a second culture to varying degrees. For example, you were born in Bali, or you know is the culture of Bali. What you do after you wake up until you go to bed is the native culture of Bali itself. And then there are some foreigner coming from Australia, and you find that their culture is totally different with yours. Maybe they wake up little bit later than yours because you have to pray first, but for them, they don't have to prepare for the prayer itself, right? And then they tend to go to sleep very late. But all of you like to live a simple life. You like to sleep on time maybe. So see, there is already a different culture here. And by learning their language, by learning their, maybe in that case, in Australian and Bali case, by learning English, you can find a unique culture of another country. You can learn the second culture through the language, through the second language that you learn. And then the third one, language is influenced and shaped by culture. It reflects culture. Do you believe in this? So language is influenced and shaped by culture, and language can reflect a culture. Okay, I will give you a very simple explanation about it. Korea. Do you know Korea? So first people of Korea, they come from China, but we know that Chinese writing is very difficult, so they try to make simple those Chinese writing, the alphabet. They make Hanguk out of it. So Hanguk is the simple version of Chinese language, Chinese writing that time. Sorry, not Chinese language, Chinese culture, Chinese writing that time. So we can see here that they make a new culture, and then the culture of Korean people, maybe it can say that it is simpler than the Chinese one, because they like to make the writing itself become simpler than the Chinese one. And they are adaptable, which means because they want to change the language itself, so it means that they are ready for a new challenge. They are ready for a different in their habit, something like that. So, and then the last one, cultural differences are the most serious areas causing misunderstanding, unpleasantness, sorry about the writing, and even conflict in cross-cultural communication. So if I have a culture which is different with other culture, when we meet, it might cause some misunderstanding and unpleasantness, and even it maybe can cause conflict in cross-cultural communication. Can you give example of this one? Maybe some of you have already had something in their mind. I will ask you to write about it at the end of this lesson. So maybe I will give you one one of very simple example of that. In Japan, if you eat something, you have to sound like you enjoy it. So you have to make a sound. For example, you are slurping a noodle, then the sound of your slurping the noodle is supposed to be very clear, like. But imagine when you are in Indonesia, that will be considered as rude. See, so for one country they can see it as, oh, they are enjoying the food, but for the other country they can be very irritated by that kind of sound. So that it is. That is it. The cultural differences that can cause the misunderstanding, unpleasantness, and maybe some conflict. So these are the sources of our PowerPoint. Now I would like you to make a paper about the last part of our PowerPoint. Which is this one. So look at here. What I want you to do is to find for yourself the example of this one, and how language is influenced and shaped by culture. So you can choose whether you want to do this one, the first one, or the second one, the real example that you can find in the community between those two. So that is going to be your assignment for this meeting. And thank you very much for listening, and I will see you guys again in the next meeting. Bye bye.